Supporters of the proposed Initiative 97, which would increase oil and natural gas well setbacks, announced this week that a second private signature gatherer it hired has been paid to stop and move out of the state. An audio recording of a conversation with a person who worked for Petition Connection, one of the companies they hired, said they were paid to leave the state. Eric, in the past, you have advised and worked in different campaigns. With this kind of a move, is all fair in love, war, and politics, or is this dirty pool?
All fair's in love, war, and politics circa 2018. I'm not sure you would have seen this circa 28 or 1998, but in these days, all is fair. The oil and gas industry clearly is pulling out all stops to keep this thing off the ballot, which tells me they're worried about the prospects of this if it makes the ballot. Obviously, there's a cost prospect to it. It's going to cost them $20 million minimum. And, I've heard numbers as high as 30, 40, 50 million. I still, even in my wildest imagination, don't know how you spend $50 million in Colorado, but I'm sure there's some consultants who could help them develop and devise such a plan. This smacks of tactics that we haven't seen in Colorado historically. It is one thing to run radio ads saying don't sign. I don't know that those ads are terribly effective, and we will see here shortly because the petitions are due on Monday. So before we tape again, we will know whether they got their numbers or are close to having their numbers. But oil and gas is, they're not playing for miscongeniality here. They are doing everything possible to keep this measure off the ballot, and it tells me they're worried about what happens if it makes the ballot.
Craig, the backers of Initiative 97 make no bones about it. They want to end fracking in Colorado. So is this something that if you're going to poke that hard at this kind of an industry, that they should expect almost anything from them?
Oh yeah, from big oil. What I know about it is they have a lot of money. I'm not an expert on oil and gas. In fact, most of what I know about oil and gas I learned at Taco Bell. But I do know that I don't want a Taco Bell within 2,500 feet of my house, and I don't want an oil rig 2,500 feet from my house. So they do have to worry that if that becomes the ballot issue, a lot of people will say, I don't want that in my neighborhood. So I think big oil is trying to kill it in its crib, and that's why they're fighting so hard.
Patty, you go to punch the biggest guy in the yard and he comes back with a shiv. You can't be surprised, right?
Right, but it does seem like there's a lot of dirty campaigning going on here. The rumors that they were paying the protesters, not just the petition gatherers who do get paid to do their job, but that actors were protesting. There are just a lot of rumors around it, and it's just as murky really as the science about fracking, which is one of the issues. People are still not really sure exactly at what point it becomes truly hazardous to your health. Is it 2,500 feet? Is it 500 feet or 1,000 feet, the setbacks? But the people pushing for this bill this time have a pretty good mascot and symbol in the people who were killed at the fire in Firestone, that oil and gas is not, yes, it's made a big comeback financially in this state, but at what price for human life?
Dave, wrap it up for us.
If it is true, which we don't know, but that somebody paid the petition firm to cease work in the middle of the job, that's not legal and it's not all's fair. That's the illegal, tortious interference with contract, if that did happen. What's certainly not illegal and is fair for people who oppose the petitions to hang out in the area where petitions are being gathered, and as long as they don't break other laws, like physically attacking people or otherwise improperly intruding themselves, but to stand at some reasonable distance and say, don't sign, they're deceiving you, that's a perfectly lawful thing to do, and that's part of the give and take of freedom of speech.